Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Fundamentals of America, presented to you by the 606 Conservatives, not by Diet Dr. Pepper, as much as Nate wants it to be. We got a new guest on the show today. It's Madison Compton. So, Madison, we're going to let you introduce yourself briefly here. So, go ahead.
Yeah. Name's Madison. Libertarian with conservative views. Don't compare me to Brad Barron because we've all seen a lot of his commercials, and I don't think he was quite what he said he was. That's it for me.
Agree.
Alrighty. So, I've not told anybody any topics today because I wanted stuff to just kind of flow off your brain. So, the first thing we're going to cover today, it's not really, and we got some new stuff in here. It's going to be later towards the end. So, the first question I got for everybody is, what makes America great in your eyes? So, whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Well, I'll go ahead and get my spiel out of the way. I think it's the fact that in this country you literally are free for the most part. I mean, you can't do stupid stuff like walk out on your porch and kill somebody, but you have your own free will. You can be what you want to. You literally could grow up dirt poor, and grow up to be a millionaire. And really, that's all thanks to capitalism and the men and women that died for this country. And I mean, you have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and literally freedom to do anything you want. And that's really what, if I had to sum up America, that's what I'd say, as a bald eagle screeches in the background.
Anyone?
Sorry, I was trying to con D-Train out of it. What makes America great? Is that what the answer was? Question was, Chris?
Yeah, what makes America great in your eyes?
The most powerful thing that America has is we have two vastly different political parties that believe on totally different opposite ends of the spectrum, and we can live in a society where both of those are always competing for power. So there's a natural checks and balances that are built into our system and society as it is. So one is always trying to get back toward power, either Senate, local races, all the way down. So I think the checks and balances, no one person ever has the most power in the country. Even the president can be checked at any time by the different legislative branch, judicial branch. Go on.
You gonna go, D-Train? Oh. What I think makes America great is just this: we the people, freedom. We're the ones in power. We choose the ones we want to lead us in a direction that we would do ourselves, but it's not quite that way today. I know some things have changed. Maybe it'll get back to the good ways. I remember back early 2000s when I was young, you never even would have thought any of this stuff was going on that's going on now. You felt pride and love for your country. You just don't feel that no more. And hopefully we can get back to that way. That works on making the government smaller again. The government has got way too big, and something's going to have to change. I'm not going to say that necessarily I hear people talk about civil war, but there needs to be a side that will leave and start something, a revolution, I guess you could say, and hopefully that will happen.
I'm going to say I agree with everybody, but the big part is you can have an American dream. You can go, and it doesn't matter if you grow up poor, if you grow up rich, you still got to live for yourself once you're older and go out and make all the money you want, unless the Democrats tax it all. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. You can go and do anything you want to in this country to be successful.
All right. Well, I'm gonna agree with what all of you said. But for me personally, I believe it's that this country was founded upon the idea way back in July 4th of 1776 that every individual was created equal and every individual has a right to succeed in this country if they so choose to work hard enough for it. Now, we didn't always live up to that until a certain point because, let's be honest, not every individual was equal. It was the white man, and we got a little bit better about that. But and I mean, it's been great until recently, like Madison said. I mean, everybody's just they want to say the American idea. It's just an idea. It's never been lived up to, and that's the Democratic Party coming out. They're wanting you to join their side so they can just have power. But for me, it's the individual will to succeed that this country was founded upon. And so, upon with that, I got another question I'm going to ask all of you. What are your core values and where do you think they align in a political party? Whoever wants to go first.
Everybody good to go? Oh, yeah. So you want us to talk about our own morals and how they line up to our political party, which we align ourselves with,
Yes.
right? All right. So honesty, I think honesty is the best policy. I think that if I don't agree with something that D-Train says or Ronnie says or Madison or you, and I need to go do what the country used to do is go just tell the truth, no matter if it hurts your feelings or not. And that's why I like the Republican Party, because I feel like, politicians are lying. They're always lying. They're always trying to sell the best thing they got. But for the most part, the Republican Party will tell it like it is. A baby is a human being. A male is a male. A female is a female. That's pretty straightforward. I think honesty is a big thing for me, and I don't want to get on a bunch of stuff, but I just wanted to touch on that one.
Well, for me, it's basically a little mix of what Nate said. For the most part, Republicans are cut and dry, no matter if you like to hear it or you don't. I believe that everyone should work for what they have. It should not be handed out to them. And Democrats believe in free this, free that. I believe in less taxes. The less taxes creates the more room to be successful. No matter if you're at the bottom of the totem pole or at the top, you have more money to keep for yourself. I believe that as much trouble as this can get you into nowadays, I'm pretty straightforward myself with my beliefs. So I believe marriage is a union between man and woman. And I believe that there is two sexes, male and female, and you can't be confused about that. Just look in your underwear, and and I believe that there should be less government. And I believe that when somebody messes with the USA, they should get the USA back and feel extremely sorry for what they did, or they're going to lose a country. Quite frankly, excuse me. And that's why I really line myself up with the Republican Party and conservatism for the most part.
All right, I'll go ahead and go. I agree with both Nathan and Ronnie. My morals and values come from my faith in Jesus Christ, and I'm going to be honest. Democratic Party goes against everything that Christ stood for. They're for abortion, killing babies. They're for gay marriage, which is strictly in the Bible. And the Republican Party will always put God in the picture, and the Democratic Party tries to take God out of the picture.
Yeah, I believe that too, D-Train. I believe they use God when they need him. When it's close to election time, that's when they say the right things to certain people. And there's a lot of certain people that hear that, and I'm not going to say not quite intelligent, but are blinded, I guess you could say, by the media and stuff there is today. But my core values are exactly the same as yours. There's man, woman, a man and a woman and a woman don't need to get together. Ain't right. I do believe that the government should stay out of a lot of things. I don't think the government should be in marriage. I don't believe the government should do anything. My views on abortion is I'm pro-life. I don't believe in abortion. But if a woman wants to have one, that's on her salvation. That's her sin. She will answer for it at the end of her days. I don't believe the government should fund it. I don't believe the government should be in healthcare, period. I believe it should be left up to employers and individuals on how they want to choose their life. And that's all I got.
I'm not going to expand too much further on what y'all said because we all just kind of we're all pretty much the same kind of person when it comes to certain things. Some of my values, I think that growing up, watching my papa especially, he is a very hardcore liberal. So, and as a Christian man, he kind of like, I hate to talk about him this way, but he does contradict himself. He's a Christian man, yet he's so liberal and is just so for all the things that are in the Bible. I mean, like y'all said, it's in the Bible, and he's for those things, like being against that, and I don't understand it. But for me, it's I am pro-life. That's a big thing for me. We had that discussion in the last podcast, and probably revisit a couple of things from the last podcast in here since we got Madison in here. I'd like to get his thoughts on some things. For me, it's the individual right to succeed. Like I said earlier, like the Republican Party is so much for the individual. They want them to grow as a person themselves, and say they struggle, and the government will step in and help them get back on their feet. But as soon as they're back on their feet, the government steps away. That's small government. Big government, like Democrats want, they want to control every aspect of your life, and I just don't like that. I don't like the idea of the government being over my shoulder about everything I do. And Reaganomics, the free market system. I love the free market, and that is why when people argue that the Democratic presidents have a better economy is because the government controls the economy more, and they can fix stuff faster than what you do in a free market economy. So I mean, that's just my values. So I think I'm a pretty hardcore conservative in my eyes.
Just real fast. The problem with some people is they like to twist scriptures to fit them and not what the scripture truly means, and that's a big problem in our country.
Can I add one thing too, Chris, real quick? So
yeah, go ahead, y'all.
We were all born and raised right here in Pike County, Kentucky. We all hail from the same cut from the same cloth. Coal mining pretty much is what fed us growing up, somehow, some way. But I don't want people that watch this podcast just to think that we are Republicans and we are conservatives or a libertarian, as Madison is. I don't want people to think we're just thought like that because of religion or any certain disagreements, that we're going to go flip-flop either party that disagrees with abortion. That is false. There's so much more to why we're conservatives than that. I mean, when I have my own business and I make $50,000 and put in my pocket, I don't want to give $25,000 of that back to the government just to put in someone else's. It's the fairness. Republicans are for fairness. They have always said that, a Democrat, you always, if you have like a daycare, or you have any kind of social program, it's best to be in business when there are Democratic politicians there. Why? Because Democrats believe in taking from successful people and giving to unsuccessful people. Why is that? Because they totally don't understand what hard work does in this country. This country is founded on hard work. Hard-working men and women that work in factories, steel mills, coal mines, you name it. They have driven this country to where it's at. And I can promise you right now that they would rather die than take a handout. You all seen it, I know you have. So I think the whole culture of the handout society is what is just absolutely destroying this country. And that's why I'm a Republican. I want to be somebody that rewards hard work and and stands up for the working man and women, the men and women of this country. And it used to be the Democratic Party, let's be honest. They used to do that. But they have, and on many issues, Democratic Party, people have definitely not left the Democratic Party. Guess what? The Democratic Party left the people. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, they not to interrupt, but I just got to add on to a little bit what Nate was talking about. They are way too lenient with welfare, getting money just because you want to sit at home. They're way too lenient on food stamps, I do believe. And that causes a lot of people, especially around here, as we all know somebody who has nothing wrong with them, but they say, "Oh, I'm depressed or I have anxiety. I get a check." Now, folks, I don't want to get on this big spiel here, but I'm going to touch on it just a little bit. I might have a touch of anxiety, like unprescribed or anything, but it's not going to stop you from working. I mean, let's just face it. Just because you're nervous all the time, I mean, you're not gonna just sit on your hind end. That's called being lazy. You should not get a check for having anxiety or being depressed or anything. That's just the cold hard facts about it. Life sucks, work sucks, but you got to do it to be successful. The government can't just give you a handout all your life just so you can get month to month and barely skin by while you're still out buying pills and all this, that, and other. And the very people that they hand out to are going and voting in our elections, which makes me sick because I would rather have 10 working men go out and vote as 10,000 men who are supported by the government, because that lets you know where their priorities lie.
Do you believe in the Social Security Administration?
I do for people that retire or are older.
I think it's a scam. I think they need to get away with it myself.
I believe in it for people who don't work no more or actually can't work. But I mean, if they can work and they're just cheating it, then no, I don't believe in it.
Well, let's go off what Masters now said, if it's all right, Chris. Social Security Administration. Okay, so you can look at Social Security from two different perspectives. Okay, so I've seen the good and the bad from Social Security. When that was first laid out, that was meant to be a pick me up, a pick me up to make sure that no one ever has to fall into the grasp of the Great Depression again. That you'll never fall too far to starve to death in this country. The country will always be there to pick you up. But that was never meant to be a lifelong or prolonged thing. Now, so what we have done is we've created a whole generation of people that their moms were on Social Security from a young age. They're on Social Security at a young age. Their children to be on Social Security at a young age because they figured out how to project the system. So what they took for good has now become a very evil, toxic thing in our country. Now here's the kicker. You can look at it from this side of the view. Certain people that have worked for years and years and years in this country that was not offered retirement, they use that as their retirement as time goes on. I know my Papa Tom does the same thing, but there has to be a better way and more restrictions put on that. Yes, I'm fine with working people paying into something and then getting that back in their later life. I'm fine with that. If they pay into it, bring it out of it. But I'm not good with people like Papa Tom that worked his whole life, literally worked until just a few years ago, underground and in the coal business, and he paid into this, yet, and my dad and everyone else's family too paid into it. Like my dad, he paid into it, never got to draw it because he died before he could have drawn it. So I would guarantee that money that he put into that, paid in taxes every year, it's went up somebody's nose here in Eastern Kentucky. So, anyway, that's my little
Yeah, you know.
spiel.
And one more thing that is abused, and I'm not going to go on a spiel about it. I just want to point it out, is unemployment. Unemployment is abused daily by people who just flat out don't want to work and they see loopholes in it, and that needs to be reformed.
Whoa. Ronnie, that's not their fault. That's the government's fault for being over everything. They should get out of everybody's business.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
If the government's going to leave that out there and leave so many loopholes for people to take advantage of it, then they should take advantage of that because that's the government's fault.
Right,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying. That needs to be reformed in a big way.
It's just like the
Have a good government can have jobs.
It's just like the teacher's pension. The Kentucky state government decided they want to get their hands in it when it was self-funded, and now look at it, it is $1 million in debt.
Yep, Mr. Steve Beshear had sticky fingers, didn't he?
Mr.
Anyway,
Bevin's funded it fully too.
yes, he was on its way, but we'll get into that some other times. Lord have mercy, Jesus, that kills me. But anyway,
Actually, be something we get to this podcast section.
okay. Well, anyway, what I was going to say there. You saying something, DJ? Oh, I thought you were saying something. I forgot what I was saying now. Go on. I'll think about it in a minute.
All right. Well, before we move into some like local and state stuff real fast, Madison, you watched our other two podcasts fully through?
Yeah, somewhat.
So you've caught the last podcast episode, the big argument or the debate, I want to say argument we had with Ronnie, right?
John Kasich.
John Kasich and all that abortion stuff. So I'd like to get your thoughts on John Kasich because you had a couple comments about him after we released the episode.
I just think he's a pawn and he uses his hands too much. There's something I just didn't. I don't know. I don't know the guy personally. He might be an all right guy, but politically, I mean, what has he done? Governor of Ohio. I mean, good for him. Jeb Bush was governor of Florida. George Bush's brother, and Trump whooped him just like he did John Kasich. I mean, like Nathan said, I was a Rand Paul guy. I was a Ben Carson guy. But, I mean, John Kasich, he just ain't, in my opinion, he ain't got the backbone, and he's a career politician. He's going to flop sides.
Weak.
Now, the backbone part and him being weak, I could understand. I will say that because when I watched the debates when he was in them, he was easily pushed around, especially by Trump. Yes, he has an overuse of his hands. Even though I support him somewhat, I don't like when he goes on spills with the Democrats, this and other, because that lets me know he's a career politician. But I could see how he was weak, because we all know if you debate with Donald Trump, whether he wins this election or not, that's besides the point. If you debate with Donald Trump, you need to be ready. You need to have your guns ready, locked and loaded. And it wasn't even just Trump. I mean, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, every one of them, they lit him alive.
But Trump lit them alive too, and I mean they're not butthurt still over it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Well, guys,
go ahead, Nate.
All of us right here, what does America like? What do we all want in a president and a leader? We want leadership, and we want somebody that's strong. We don't want no wussy in the White House that when Iran gets to pushing us around in the Middle East, that's just going to sit back and say, "Oh, honey, you can just take whatever you want." No, we all know. Everybody knows here that John Kasich and those very, very left-leaning moderate Republicans, that old saying in America, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. They just stand for whatever's popular at the time. And whatever will get them in office, they don't ever stand on anything.
Unpopular opinion here: Mitch McConnell is a career politician.
Oh yeah,
very much so. Mitch McConnell is very much a career politician.
That's a question.
He got my vote. He got my vote because I'd rather vote for him over Amy McGrath. She's a Marine and a mom. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing here. I had is we've all sit and discussed. Well, I mean, this is the first time we've had Madison on the podcast, but like right before a podcast or something, we'd be talking about, like when we got on the topic of John Kasich, in my head I was thinking he's a member of the swamp that everybody keeps talking about. Trump keep wanting to drain people from that swamp. It's not just Democrats that's part of that swamp. There's Republicans there that have been there, and they all work together behind the scenes to make sure they're still in power and get that money. So I want each of you, like when you think of swamp on both sides, who are the first people that come to your head on the Democrat Party and the Republican side?
Mitch McConnell.
Mitt Romney.
Would you say on the Republican side or both?
Both. Like just do
Nancy
Republican
Pelosi,
and Democrat side.
Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney. I mean, what's he done? He's a Mormon.
John Kasich.
Everybody should love him for it. I don't understand it. I mean, John Kasich. Everybody in government that's been there more than 20 years. Donald Trump ain't. I can tell you that.
That's why they hate him so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all ready for my big long list?
Yeah, I got you.
John McCain was, bless his heart, rest in peace.
Yeah.
John McCain,
Yeah.
he was part of the swamp. I can go Maxine Waters, Adam Schiff, Nadler,
Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. This is going to kill Ronnie. George W. Bush.
Yep.
Colin Powell.
Yep.
I could go on all day, boys. Pitiful. Pitiful. The swamp was so big. Trump come and he literally was like, okay, I'm pulling the plug on this swamp and I'm going to show every one of you all exactly. But here's the thing though, boys. We'll discuss this next maybe, but there's people that have been there for a long time that are not that has shown that they're not part of the swamp too. That's been there. And we'll discuss that maybe after this, but go on.
For me, it would be Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the Bushes. As much as I do love George W. Bush, even though when he was president, I agree with you. I knew you was going to say that, and I thought about it too. The Bushes, the Clintons. I think.
How can we forget the Clintons, you all?
Hey, if I died tonight in my sleep, it wasn't of natural causes. I called out the Clintons. I'm just letting y'all know. But
it's true. You will die.
But the Clintons, Mitch McConnell is. I think he helps us. I think he helps Kentucky a lot, but he is a member of the swamp. Mitt Romney, John McCain was as well. I mean, Maxine Waters is, and I forgot that one guy's name. He's the black preacher. Reverend, that's a part of the Democratic Party. Someone help me here if you know who I'm talking about.
Al Sharpton.
I can't.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
He gets on my nerves so bad. But I mean, and let's be honest, CNN is. I mean, if there was a heart of the swamp where everything flows from, and it's just the nucleus of the swamp, it is CNN.
Fox News now.
Hey guys, we can't leave off the FBI. The entire FBI pretty much has been shown to be the upper level FBI has been swamped. I mean,
Hussein, Obama,
Joe Biden.
Yep.
Kamala Harris. Let's not forget the big Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. Let's not forget the big company owners. Zuckerberg. He's a member of the swamp. He's not a politician, but I mean, look how much.
They're all in cahoots so they can get money.
Exactly.
Soros.
But yeah, if Nate, you got some people you want to talk about that's not a member of the swamp. Go ahead.
E-Train, you got anybody to add to swamp?
Oh yeah. Well, that's.
I want to let everybody know this. It's not just because they like Trump or support Trump. It's because they work for the greater good, no matter if they like somebody or not. Okay, I respect somebody that even though I disagree with them, they want to work with me just to move this country forward. Okay, so I think it's pretty easy to say Ted Cruz is not a member of the swamp. I think it's pretty good to say that Lindsey Graham, although I originally thought for a long time he's part of the swamp. He has shown his displeasure for the swamp on multiple occasions in the last 4 years, and going after. I mean, he has been a champion for liberty. Him and Ted Cruz for the last 4 years. I mean, they've been
Marco
fighting.
Rubio.
They've been fighting the
They've
swamp.
been
Marco
going,
Rubio.
going.
Marco Rubio absolutely got torched by Donald Trump and Chris Christie at the debates. And what did
I
Marco
was
Rubio
about to
do?
ask about Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio, he took it like a man, took it on the chin, realized he lost, and now he fell right in line and supports anything the president says. And I'm not saying that that makes them not a member of the swamp. I'm saying that they've been there for a while. They could very easily reject this man that's an outsider coming in, but they just stand right up there and pretty much anybody that's out to get Trump, it's very bad if you all will notice. It's because he hit a nerve with them, and they were members of the swamp.
You
I
know
mean,
who?
well, see,
You know
That's
who is? Or go ahead, Chris.
well, see, like you was talking about, we kept talking about how Trump smacked those guys in the debates, and he did. He wiped the floor with them all. But I think they were shell shocked because they haven't seen anybody since Ronald Reagan that was that boy like loud, obnoxious, and stuff. They were shell shocked and had no idea how to handle that. And Trump just, I mean, that's what America wanted. They wanted a guy that wasn't afraid to speak his mind.
and let's be honest here. Trump and Reagan they have a lot of the same policies. Totally different debaters. Totally different politicians. Totally
Totally
different.
different level of
Yeah,
humbleness too. We know
but
that Trump is not humble, and look at Reagan, how calm, cool, and collected he stayed.
but I've got to say I've got to add somebody else popped in my mind that's not a member of the swamp that I think has done her due diligence, and although she disagrees, I respect her for that, and that's Dianne Feinstein. She has on multiple times tried to go across the aisle, even when I know she did on she disagreed, and her own party almost crucified her the last been about 2 or 3 months ago because of her hugging
Boys, have we forget
Lindsey
our dear
Graham.
friend? Wait 1 second, Nate. Have we forget our dear friend AOC, the Green New Deal? How did we forget her
I
sweet
wouldn't
face?
know.
Well,
I
but
wouldn't
I wouldn't
think
say
she
she's
would be a
swamp.
member of the swamp yet.
Well, she is now, but
She's not.
she's not
She
a good old.
contributes to it on the little end.
She's
Well,
not
I
even
mean,
relevant.
yeah, she just got a clue.
She's talking. She talked about the other day. They did an interview with her. She's talking about considering quitting politics because Democrats, like moderate Democrats, are blaming them on losing their elections, like their progressive ideas. Because it's turned a lot of American voters off. Like American voters love. I mean, let's be honest. We all realize that a nation without any police force is going to be a nation that goes downhill very fast. And a Green New Deal, you're going to have to get rid of all your cars. You're going to have to tear down your house and build it back up and put solar panels on it.
I ain't getting rid of the
Let me say-
'95 Chevy.
Let me say something here that really grinds my gears about these socialists going into the Democratic Party and just the way the Democratic Party is now. Right here where we're from, you got the good old mountain Democrats. Well, how can they stay in a party that supports all these things and act the way they do? I really don't understand.
Because they
And
are.
it's like when the magistrates was running here in Pike County. I heard one of them say on video, said, "How you going to vote? I'm going to stick with the party."
Would you
Is he
like?
meaning that?
Would you
Is
like to throw a name out, Madison?
Yeah, sure, Jason Tackett. I like the guy. I do. But how can you say I'm going to stick with the party and do that? I mean, does that mean he's going to stick with the party on federal too? Did he vote for? Is he going to vote for Joe Biden? Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't.
I mean, to be fair,
There's a.
to be fair to Jason, though, I mean, they're not held to the same scrutiny as federal politicians. But you got to watch what you say because you could easily be saying you're for something that you really want not be for. So
They.
I'm just gonna add this
What
fast
kills me.
since I've not got to talk yet. I don't know if anybody's added them into the swamp. Was Joe Biden? Um, what tells you he's a career politician? Look what he done as VP. Well, first look what he done as a senator. Look at how many crime bills he come out with that locked so many people in jail for a little possession of marijuana. Look
Black
at
men.
what he done as VP. That's finally coming out that he made his son that was terminated from the military They couldn't get a job, become a millionaire because he shipped him overseas and got money from Charisma over in Ukraine.
How did Joe Biden
What
make his
kills
money?
me about local politics is that 90% of them, well, I'm not going to say 90 because we just pointed out one local one that stuck with the Democratic Party through and through. What kills me about them is you'll hear them say, they'll run on the Democratic ticket and they'll say, oh, I'm a Democrat. And then they'll go out for their presidential election, and who'd most of them vote for? Donald J. Trump. Now, let me ask you something. Why are you sticking with the party, as Madison said, why are you sticking with the party when we know, because we live here in Pike County, your real beliefs, we know you don't believe that way. Why are you so loyal to a party? Is it the title? Is it because you're afraid to change over to a Republican? My cousin,
You
Big
don't
Joe
have to be a
Atkins,
Republican.
my cousin, Big Joe Atkins, in co-run, he's a commissioner. He's been a Democrat all my life. I would assume all his. And then right before the election, a couple months ago, he made a big Facebook post with a picture of him of where he changed parties to and registered as a Republican. And he made a big Facebook post calling out other, not really calling out, but just telling people how he could not say he was a part of something that he's not, and how he does not believe in any way how the modern Democrats do.
But the thing is, they don't even have to join the Republican Party. I mean, like me, libertarian. I mean, you got independent. You can do. I mean, you can do what you want. You don't have to join the Republican Party.
I just want to ask you this real fast. It's a question. Give me your reasoning behind voting for Andy Beshear, Ronnie.
My reason was at the time I wasn't really into the governor politics, and I listened to what a lot of the Democratic teachers said, and I just didn't really know what to do. And so I kind of, honestly, I will say I voted for him just because I thought that he was, screwing the teachers over. And then later on, come to find out, Matt Bevin was fixing the mistakes that Andy Beshear's dad made, and it just made Matt Bevin look bad. So really, that was a mistake on my part.
Matt Bevin looked bad because he was a mini Trump. He was a mini Trump, and they could not handle it. You got Trump, then you got mini Trump. That's Matt Bevin. He said it how it was. He didn't make the teachers' butt hurt. Well, guess what? Everybody else here is working and paying into retirement and everything. It really wasn't going to affect nothing. I mean, they were so scared. Oh yeah, these people that was ready to retire, like, oh, we better watch it. We're going to have to wait and see if we need to retire or not. If he does this and that, he wasn't going to do nothing to it. Legally, he could not take away what they had already paid in. The court judge wouldn't let it happen. I mean, he wouldn't. He funded it. He funded it fully.
Steve Beshear dipped his hands in it several times to try to dip out of it, and nothing was really said. And then Matt Bevin being a loudmouth, I like the guy. Man, me and D-Train met the guy, and he was extremely nice to me and D-Train down there. Actually, the only governor candidate down there that actually took his time and talked to us, even though I had some kind of kung flu or Rona or something. I don't remember what I had that day, but anyway, he was a good guy, and he wanted the best for his state. And I've got a lot of teacher friends that are out there, but I am still very, very, very bitter about how they done this, our last governor.
Well, that's really kind of what blinded me. I will say I normally stick my ground on a lot of my beliefs, as I did with John Kasich and certain abortion situations. Not all. I'm not even saying I support it. I just meant I understand it. But most of the time, I will stick to my guns. But on this one, I will retract it and say that I was kind of blinded, I guess you could say, by teachers who I love dearly. No, let me finish. No interruptions, Nathan Little.
You had teachers.
And
Don't start, Ronnie.
we said no interruptions. I ain't interrupted. But no, I haven't. Fake news.
Hey, I
aspire.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
One thing. You had teachers that talked about this in school.
Yeah, they didn't say go vote for him, but they would always say Matt Bevin was screwing them over. They would always say it. So basically, passively, don't vote for Matt Bevin if you can vote.
They need fired. They don't need bringing it to the school.
Here's
I agree with you, but I aspire to be a teacher, and that's kind of it was scaring me. So that's kind of the reason I voted for him. But now after that, after I dug into it a little bit and heard y'all, talk about it and things, I kind of read for my own, and I found out that he was really fixing something that was long overdue, and it just looked bad because he was the only governor to step up and, decide to, hey, I'm going to try to fix this for the future.
here's the problem, and I've not fully made my decision yet if I'm going to teach or not, but at the time I was fully 100% all in on it. But here's the problem. Everybody's screaming and griping and crying over the pension this, pension that. Well, here's the deal. It's about bankrupt. Matt Bevin comes in, fixes the pension, because if the pension fails, nobody's going to get their retirement. So then you get a governor that's going to fix it and gets money fully in it. If the pension fails, teachers are not going to get any retirement because the government has decided in this state to stick their hands in what is not theirs.
Yep, and here's the thing, though, guys. If somebody, I'll vote for a guy. I don't care what a guy says as far as he says derogatory remarks. He says he's going to grab them by this, grab them by that, say this. I don't care what he says as long as he gets the job done. And you look right there, factories were coming to Kentucky to build their factories and employ Kentuckians all over the state.
Can I say something, Nathan? In fact, here in Pike County, the hemp farm was going to come, and we can't have hemp. That's weed. No, it's not. Exactly. I mean,
it's not weed at all.
Yeah.
I done a class in college, and I done a what's it called, apprenticeship or something. I worked with hemp up on a strip job up there in Johns Creek, and when they were just starting their first, just testing the soil, see if it would actually grow hemp, and I done all those soil samples. And no, but Kentucky, Eastern Kentuckians, buddy, you say anything about hemp or marijuana, they freak out. But the fact of the matter is, up in behind these mountains, there's all kinds of marijuana growing, and they don't even know it.
But yeah, but the hemp thing, they wouldn't put it here. They said no, we can't have that. So you know where they went?
Which would help our economy.
They went to Moorhead, and you know what? It's booming. It was in magazines and everything.
Yep, and it was going to be right here.
And if you ask me, that is not a complete replacement, but I mean, we literally have, I would guarantee you, thousands of dollars of weed growing in these hills because it naturally grows here. And so,
I ain't never seen that.
Well, evidently you ain't looked hard enough. But what I'm saying is, in the Appalachian Mountains, we have all these fine resources like that just everyone like Madison says, oh, it's weed. We don't want to sell that. No. It wasn't weed. It was hemp. And that would have brought a lot of help to Pike County's economy. But no, we didn't want it.
Yeah, but I seen today, if you don't mind me, I seen today that at the industrial park there in Pikeville, they were so happy because Ratz Concrete is going to move up there. Oh, big time right there, buddy. They're going to add 20 jobs, maybe 40. I can't believe that they're going to add like another 20 on it. I mean, I'm not saying that's good. That's good for the company and it's good for the county and the city, but they need to get some outside stuff that's going to make a lot of jobs.
When you go down there, first of all, that hemp thing leaving, that was not on our state at all. That was on our local politicians that won't stand up and have a backbone to do anything for this region. I want to say this one time, Chris, and we'll move right on to our next topic. You drive down US 23 here. We got listeners that live here in Pike, Floyd County. You come through Pikeville. You drive down, you see this big, nice, fancy bridge down here where Fastenal's at across from that. You're looking at millions and millions of dollars that were wasted. Wasted. Do you know why it was wasted? Because the city of Pikeville is so greedy They could not stand the fact that they were having another entrance that they couldn't tax up there on the mountain. So they wanted to move that down to city limits, or they could everything that went across that would get taxed. And now what's happened? Everything that said it was coming up there, the battery factory, everything that was going to go up there, now has pretty much backed out. Why is that? Because we have politicians here in Pike County that are so greedy, they'd rather line their own pockets and line the city's pockets than actually help this. So when these politicians, when they come around next year, whenever they come around, they're going to start campaigning and coming to your door and knocking on it and giving you little cards saying vote for me. Listen, you need to think about that, because guess what? You could have had your children would not have left and went down to Georgetown to get a job at the Toyota plant. They could have stayed here and worked, but they don't care about you enough to make that happen. So
We have a local swamp. A local swamp.
amen.
All right, so I've been trying and been waiting to get this point in for a while here. We're just going to go back a little bit and what, like Madison said about how these local politicians and stuff, they're registered, they're Democrats, but they won't. Then they stick by their party. I don't necessarily think they're sticking by their party on a federal level. I think a lot of them are like Republican presidential voters, and like federal level, I think they vote that way. But I think the reason they stay Democrat is state politics. They're playing the state political game to try and continue to move up. There is. I mean, there's a lot of people here that's been in like political power for a long time in Pike County, especially in all these surrounding areas, because they're wanting to move up, and I think that's why they stick to that Democratic Party. And you'll never hear them say anything bad about any of these Democratic people, because they want to continue to move up and one day get up to Attorney General, get up to Governor, get up in those cabinet positions, just to make their lives better. And I don't think they really care much about like the people in Pike County or these surrounding areas.
Yeah, the Democratic Party ain't what it used to be. Anyhow.
No, that's why you need to be looking out for Nathan Little or Madison Compton here in the next few years.
Oh, I'll be running for something here whenever I'm over the age. But so we've been talking about state level politics. I'll say earlier more than I thought we'd get into it. Nate brought up a good point earlier. He said, we was talking about why Kentucky's a little different. They vote Republican in presidential elections, but they vote Democrat in governor. We've only had 2 Republican governors since 1975, and we've only voted for a Democrat president 3 times since 1972. So I want y'all's thoughts on why that would be.
I'll go first. I believe for many of them years, you still had the moderate and conservative Democratic Party. I think the tide has changed. Matt Bevin was just so disliked in this state is the reason why you have a Democrat in. But I believe when his term is up, another Republican will retake the governor's office here in Kentucky. But I think that now this state hated the federal level because the federal level becomes super liberal under Bill Clinton. And I don't think that parts with Kentucky values at all, it being liberal. As you can see, Amy McGrath got blew out, and everybody's like, well, she's going to beat Mitch McConnell, which I knew that wasn't going to happen. But used to, his state would vote for the moderate conservative Democrats, and I believe that's usually what Madison started out as. He registered as a Democrat because he was a moderate conservative Democrat. Well, that party's dead. That party is no longer in this state, even in a local race. That party's dead. So I believe that just showed you how unliked Matt Bevin was, because Matt Bevin did say some really stupid stuff when he shouldn't have. But again, he's going to speak his mind, and I like it about a politician. I like that they are not politically correct every statement they make, every speech they give. I think if you got something on your mind, you say it, and you don't stab nobody in the back. You say it to their face. But I do believe when Andy Beshear is up for re-election, he will lose and lose badly.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Matt Bevin in any other kind of politics before he was governor? I know he was a businessman with a watch company that his family started. That's what I was wondering, because basically he's the same as Trump.
He's just like Trump. He's just a little less likable than Trump. That's about it. He was not in politics at all.
Well, he
But
wasn't as famous as Trump.
no, no. Trump's. Here's the thing about Trump, and here's why Trump got a. And I'm going to answer this question that Chris was talking about. Here's why Trump got away with being how he was. Because Americans felt safe with Trump because they've seen him on TV since the 80s. They've seen him on TV shows. They've seen him do different things. And they've seen him on news and all this stuff. Americans have seen Trump for 20 years, just not in a political light. So they felt comfortable voting for him, even though he was a little bit on the edge. But anyway, I was going to talk about, how we're talking about how Kentucky is like a blue state in state elections and red. This goes back to the 1930s, 1940s, 50s, back when when the labor unions come in with these coal companies. Okay, these coal companies, there were a time that these coal companies were treating the workers and miners in Eastern Kentucky. They were treating them like crap. They were being awful to them, and so when these labor unions come in and kind of started taking a stronghold of the miner population, they were all Democrats, and it was mostly Democratic run organization. So when you go from getting no benefits, you go from getting kicked around, accident. Eastern Kentuckians, we are at one time we were very uneducated, and so these people come in and thought they could take advantage of our workers, very hard workers, Scots Irish workers that were here in the mountains. When they come in, they treat them like dogs, and so when you get treated like that for so long, when somebody comes in and offers you a helping hand and will stand up for you and fight your employer and go against these big coal companies for you without you having to actually take any personal grief from it, that is the kind of stuff that will last a generation, and it has lasted several generations. That's why my papa, I think, a lot of the reasons he was like he was at a time, and my papa's papa, they grew up under that labor union, and boys, they used to be fights and shootouts in these union halls over their work. So these guys back in the day, they really stood up for what they believed in, and they wanted somebody to stand up for them, and these unions done that. That's why Kentucky is so blue on state issues, because of that same thing from back in the 50s, 30s, and 40s.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chris.
Democratic candidates in this state focus, especially with Bevin and stuff. Bevin was kind of more he hardly really ever talked about state stuff. He was more about federal. Like every time you heard him talk, he was kind of talking about federal stuff. And I think Kentuckians kind of got turned off by that, along with, he was unlikable. I can't really say much about him because I didn't really pay attention then. I was still in high school, and I just didn't really care about politics at the time. But Bevin was more federal, and when Beshear ran, he started talking about all the stuff he's going to do for the state to help Kentuckians. And I think a lot of people was kind of, well, let's go with that guy to help us. And I think that's why a lot of the times they vote Democrat in state, but for federal stuff, they have more beliefs of Republican. But for state, they go with Democrat stuff. And that's just what I was wanting to say there.
Well, you got to realize Matt Bevin's not from here. Matt Bevin, he's not a Kentuckian.
Well, yeah.
He lived here, and I think that meant a whole lot in that election, too. Andy Beshear, the Beshear family has been out in Western Kentucky for, years. So I think that had a big thing to do with it.
I have an uncle who I love very dearly, and I'm not saying nothing bad about him because I love him very dearly. He's basically like my papa now that they're all dead, but he is a lot like your all's papa. He is a Democrat, and secretly, I think he is a Republican, secretly, but he would never own up to it. But he used to haul coal, and so that makes a lot of sense about the labor unions and everything, because he was a Democrat, or he's a Democrat. My poppy, which was his brother, was a Democrat, and they just don't realize that Democrats have changed and they're no longer for who they used to be. But a thing I was going to say about Trump is another reason Americans felt safe with Trump is because look how long he said that he was going to run for president, but never did. He ran when he knew that he could win and when he knew that the country needed him. the country really, I mean, nobody likes Bill Clinton. I'm not a fan of Bill Clinton. Republicans have mixed feelings about George Bush and everything, but the country was at its worst it had been in many years with Obama. And after Obama, Trump said, all right, it's time I can go in and I'm going to fix these things. And, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people felt safe with him, because for years, 10, 20 years, Trump said he was going to be president, and he waited until when he knew that it was time and the country actually needed him. Well,
I'm going to say this, though, real fast, Ronnie, is I think a lot of people forget that Trump did run for president one more time before 2016. It's very brief. It was 2000, I believe, if I'm right, and it was in a third party. It was it's not even a party that exists anymore, and he couldn't get any steam at all, so he kind of dropped out early. But he did run in 2000.
Well, I don't know how true this is, but I always heard that he used to be a Democrat back in like the 80s and 90s, and said he flipped to. I heard that he flipped to that little weird party. I don't know what it's called, but I heard he was a third party there for a while. I didn't know he ran for president in 2000. You taught me something. But
he was coaxed to do that by Jesse Ventura, who had just won the Minnesota governorship and had the same kind of mentality Trump did, and so he was trying to capture the same firepower that Jesse Ventura captured, and it didn't.
I mean, let's face it, the main reason Trump is as hated as he is today, and then I'll get off this, is because he flipped over to the Republican ticket and is a big conservative Republican, and people hate that about him because he's rich too.
I've got the party name here, which is, I mean, it's a little weird. It was called the Reform Party. So, I mean, that was something that's not even a thing anymore. And I think it was just kind of his own party, honestly, in 2000. Like, it wasn't a big thing. The party's director and his 2000 campaign here, the Reform Party, it ended, I mean, he announced it on October 7th, 1999. He ended his run in February 14th. That tells you how little steam he picked up. And Roger Stone was his director.
Yep. If you go back and look at Trump's early life and stuff, a lot of the people that are still with him today, they're kind of always been there. But I want to throw this out there with you guys one time, because I know everybody hears it and talks about it. But do you all know much about labor unions? Like, do you really know what they are, what they stand for, like what they do? Do y'all know any of that?
I ain't really studied that.
I'm honestly myself, I'm not for unions.
All I've ever known is that they started out supposed to protect the American worker, and really that's all I've ever been told. I don't really know in depth about them.
Well, I want to run by. Most Republicans do not agree with unions. That's pretty.
Started by the mob.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, I'm going to do just a general overview of what a union is. I was in a union when I worked for Big Sandy Healthcare, and I was actually a very big voice in that union. And I went down there and kind of went toe to toe with to do the new union contract for that year. So I learned a whole lot about unions down there doing that. But here's why people, and I'm saying this to kind of show you guys why people are so strong Democrats here locally. Before the union at Big Sandy, they had not had a raise for like tens of years. And the union come. Now it holds the employer accountable. Now it hurts it pretty much gives the employer a headache. It collectively as a group, employees can come together and stand up and have one voice and go in and negotiate, and they have rights now in this country to do that and form that. And they can bargain on things like wages, raises, insurance, you name it. They pretty much can go toe to toe with that and get what they want.
Now, I would like to know, Nate, because I'm sure you probably know. I would like to know what happened. People say that back when unions first came around, and up until like the 90s or something, that they used to be a lot better than they are now. Like I said, I don't know much about workers' unions, but they say that they're nowhere.
Unions originated with the Knights of Labor back in the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, they say that they're
worked to death then, and they was trying to make sure that their rights were upheld.
They say that they are no longer who they used to be, and I'd like to know like what they mean, like what. Why?
Well, I think that just used to be they would kind of pretty much tell an employer, it's either this way or the highway. we're going to shut your business down. We're going to go to the picket line, or you're going to do what we want. Uh, and nowadays, it's more of a bargaining thing than we're going to shut your whole business down. I don't know if you guys remember this about Madison May. We lived through a big union strike when Wayne Supply strike, and that was always really crazy. They set up there. They stayed there for a long time, striking against Wayne Supply. Yeah. So unions have. No, listen, you can agree with them or not agree with them. Either way, they're I just wanted to show you guys, they are very, very powerful in the labor industry. I mean,
well, it's hard to fire somebody too that's in the union.
You cannot. You cannot hardly. It's very bad for employers because you could have a worker that pretty much did nothing, and they could find a way to keep them, and you could sue them to keep them. So yeah. In that way, it's bad. But anyway, I just want to kind of show you all how strong labor unions was and like why people are so strong Democrats around here, and that's why it's the labor unions.
And the unions was infiltrated by the mob.
I don't know about that. Madison is here with her with the different views on controversies and conspiracy theories and all that.
Kind of with Madison on some conspiracy theories, though. I love them. And I like Alex Jones. I love listening to Alex Jones because it's honestly true about what they say about Alex Jones. Is 90% of the stuff he says is true, but the other 10% he says are wild stuff, and that's what makes people like say he's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about.
Do you guys want to go into that rabbit hole?
We could get started, but that would take a long time.
Well, I'd like to hear just a short summary of some kind of crazy one because some of them I think are insane.
Let's wait and we'll prepare another podcast and we'll just go over conspiracy theories. We could
do that could be the next episode. We could have a conspiracy theory stuff, and we'll just I'll compile some stuff. I've like the Joe Rogan podcast. I love it. On Spotify, anybody wants to ever listen to it, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to get onto. The videos on YouTube, but my two favorite podcasts Joe Rogan's ever done have been with Alex Jones, both of them. Alex Jones is wild. He's obnoxious, and there's a lot of stuff he says. You're going to be like, what the heck? He goes so fast. He talks about frogs being gay. That's the part of the 10% where people think he's crazy. But here's a quick summary of what, well, I'm going to give an idea. We might go into the next. He talked about how over in China, they are harvesting, like, babies and using those to create, like, humanoids and stuff and, like, save their tissue and create other, like, species, like alien species.
That stuff happens here too.
And he was talking about how the Virginia governor was talking about how after they gave birth, it would be like even after birth. He was up to like he was for abortion after birth, like killing the baby after it was born. Said he'd leave it up to the mother. If the mother wanted to kill it, they'd keep it comfortable until it was ready to die, and then they would. I don't even think they'd probably kill it. They'd probably sneak it out the back door and give it to China.
We better move on before my blood pressure goes up too high. So Lord have mercy, Jesus. You know, that's a good episode. It's a good episode, though. Really, but, I'm excited.
So, on the level of federal stuff, today there was, well, I guess it was tomorrow, yesterday, they mentioned Trump has formed a super PAC to maintain his kind of get more control over the GOP and have more influence on who's getting elected here and there. So I don't think that Trump is going to just ride off into the sunset like I was expecting him to. I think Trump's going to be around for a long time.
I told you guys. I said if he don't get it, he will run again in 2024.
I hope and pray.
It'd be pretty.
He is the reform that the Republican Party needs. If we're going to be honest,
he'd be no older than what Joe Biden is.
I think his daughter should run.
Yeah, Madison. Be honest, you just like looking at her.
No, I mean, I like.
I think she's good view, and she's a good. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
She would do. She's a good. She would do better than his sons, I think.
Here's another big deal that was just posted over the federal level on President Trump that the peace deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia is likely to happen.
Yeah, it said likely, but not anytime soon. But it's likely. Wow. Donald Trump, how he has not got the Nobel Peace Prize, I have no idea.
I can't wait.
His name's been thrown around several times.
Yeah, he's been nominated a couple times. But I can't wait for Joe Biden to get in there and just absolutely wreck the Middle East again. He's going to go over there and play favorites and take money from Ukraine, give it to his little crack-addicted son there. It was on stage with him celebrating the other night. Lord, that kills me.
Joe Biden won't be a president.
Nope. I think that this election is, I'm going to still say it, it's far from over. It's far from over.
Well, not just that. Like I said in the beginning, so somebody's going to be leaving. So somebody's going to succeed from a party. They're going to start a revolution. I'm not saying it's going to be a civil war.
I've had kind of a similar idea about that. I think I talked to Nate and D-Train about it. I think probably 10-year time, I think you will see a third major political party rise up, and I think it will be guys that have got tired of either being a far right or like a hard right conservative and a far left liberal. I think they're going to come back together and create a moderate party. I don't know what they call themselves, but I think that's what's going to happen here in about 10 years.
Well, in my opinion, that needs to happen. I mean, that needs to happen. We need to stop, which I'm a Republican through and through. I'm a far right Republican, I would call myself, despite whatever Nate says, despite my little view on abortion. But I think that needs to happen. I think that there needs to be more bipartisanship instead of saying it's my way or the highway, Jack, because that does not help Americans. I think diehard Republicans help Americans 10 times more than diehard Democrats do, or any Democrat for that matter.
Gotta stand for something or you fall from anything.
And I could be wrong. They might be actual civil war because I'll be honest with you. When I packed for work this week, I took my AR-15 with me. It's crazy. You don't know. Me being away, I don't know if something's going to happen.
Anymore, if they know that you like Donald Trump, if you run into the wrong person, they will come to you and they'll blow your brains out and then laugh about it and post it on social media.
Oh, yeah.
That was all over them riots and stuff. I mean, that person in Portland just walked right up behind that person, killed him, and then laughed about it. That's what this country's come to. It's come to where they don't like a man because he says a couple things that gets them butt hurt. And I thank Barack Obama for that. Bill Clinton started the liberal movement. Barack Obama started the snowflake movement. And no one will ever tell me different on that.
I believe that. I believe that. We're now a party of people that if you call somebody fat, then they're going to cry for days and days and days and days, and then try to turn it around. Isn't it right, Ronnie?
All right, well, I got this back to the federal level here about Donald Trump. Is after he made that pact and how he's going to have that pact real fast. I read on it too. It has unlimited spending. They do not have a limit on as many donations they can get. It's unlimited. So as long as people keep funneling money to that super PAC, Donald Trump will be using that to influence elections around state, local stuff, so he can get his guys in there. And Trump could probably, if he doesn't get in now, then he'll come back in 2024 and win. But Trump has also blocked any members of political or government office to discuss transitioning with Joe Biden. Like, he has blocked that completely, and if they do, they lose their job.
Good. Because I mean, guys, we could go all around the news and find different things of why this election is so irregular. This was much crazier than the 2000 election, and so we're already going to call it for Joe Biden, even when we got 3 states out.
Nobody's called it but the news, and they don't call elections.
Yeah, the news. That news don't cause elections. I mean, Donald Trump is perfectly within his rights to not concede this election until everything is found out and put on the table.
D-Train, do you have any thoughts on any of this stuff? You've hardly talked this episode.
Yeah, I was just looking into the new leadership pack Trump is creating. Which I think is a big deal for the future.
You're a little bit spotty, D-Train. We can't really understand what you're saying.
I was off the screen. You hear me better now? But, I was just looking into the new leadership pack. I've not read much upon it, but I do think it is going to be a big deal for years to come. Not just if Trump loses, he runs in 2024. I think this leadership pack will be a big thing for a Trump party in the future, which is very likely to happen.
Let me ask you guys something
D-Train,
real
if you
quick.
turn your microphone settings up, it might help that a little bit.
Let me ask you guys something. So let's say it's the year 2000 or it's the year 2100. Okay,
What will be dead?
and well, I know we'll be deader than doorknobs, you know. But we look back, and America at that time looks back at the history of presidents. You know how we all do. We all look back at presidents. We hear about presidents. How do you think Donald Trump will be viewed?
I think that when you come back in the future, or in the future, and people are looking back on the past and their little, I doubt textbooks will be a thing. They'll probably be on their little fancy laptops that pop out of their eyeballs or something. Their little screens there, and they'll be reading their little history lessons, and they'll be reading on Donald Trump and all the stuff he done, and they'll be like, why did people hate this guy so much? Look at what all he did for everybody. Like I said previously, I said in the first episode, everybody likes to call Donald Trump racist. He's the worst racist I've ever seen. If he is so racist, then he needs to get better at it, honestly. He's helped the black people out more than anything. The Cuban vote, those guys have come out and supported Trump because he cares about American people. He's not just there to be in power. That's not what he cares about. He's helping people over in the Middle East. He's brokering peace deals that you've never seen before that Democrats could care less because they just want money. And I don't understand. They're going to look back on this in whatever, 2100, way up there, and they're going to say, wow, if you look at the history of presidents, I bet Donald Trump's going to be up in that top 5.
Yeah,
He will be viewed, or go ahead, Madison, if you want to.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I appreciate you, baby. He will be viewed as the unlikable Ronald Reagan. And unlikable just because a lot of people don't like him. I love him to death. I mean, he's my favorite president. Ronald Reagan's probably my favorite, Trump being second. But I think a lot of things he has done will be viewed as probably honestly the best Republican president we've ever had, which is, as of now, Ronald Reagan. But he has just a certain charm about him, there's just something to his personality that you instantly are attracted to Donald Trump. And he has a foul mouth, we can all agree. But he does not watch what he says. And I don't know. I just think that he will, like Chris said, people will look back and they will say, why do they hate this man? Look at everything. I mean, he's the very one who ended war over in Korea, even though there wasn't no boots on the ground anymore. But he actually got them to sign a peace deal and all that. And they'll see.
They never actually came to the table. He tried very hard for that.
Oh, well. But they will view all the things that he has done, and they'll say, wow, I don't understand why this man was not a hero of his day.
It all depends on who's going to lead the country and the generations to come. They could either look back at him as being the greatest president, or they could look back at him as not even being relevant, because the next generation is something's going to change. Everybody's getting too liberal.
I think that this upcoming, I'm talking about kids that are being born right now. They're going to grow up in a time where you got all these progressive Democrats that are pushing all these radical ideas. And I think as they get older and they start researching stuff and they get in the workforce and stuff, they're not going to want to. I think it's bullcrap that they want you to, like, say, some people are going to start rich. It is what it is. Some people are going to start poor. I mean, let's be honest. We've all not been dealt the best hand in the world. We had hardworking parents and stuff, though, that instilled those values in us. But I think it's crap that they want that idea of it shouldn't matter where you start, but we should all finish at the same place. That's bullcrap. If I work harder than, say, I work harder than Nathan Little, and he still ends up at the same place as me making the same amount of money, that's bullcrap. If I work hard, I should be more successful than what he is, and I don't think the government should take that away from me.
And mark my words. Mark my words right now. Write them down. That Ronnie Bolin said this, which is not a lot of things you want to do, but if liberals keep gaining steam in this country, and I mean the far left liberals like they all are now, we won't have a nation in 2100. We won't. We will not have one. It'll be China or Russia or something crazy like that.
I still believe in the American Republic, and I believe in this country, and I believe that this country will heal itself over time. And I think we've had times where we've been divided like this before. We've had a civil war in this country, an actual civil war, and we come back together after that. So, D-Train,
The
in the year 2100, what do you think? Donald Trump, how do you think he'll be viewed?
Well, I think if they open up a textbook or a digital book or a laptop coming out of their eyes, like Chris said,
yeah, it's gonna come out of their eyeballs.
I think they're going to see a bunch of things. They're going to see the worst political warfare in the history of this country with politicians and media out to get a single individual. It's never been like that before, and I hope it never is like that for another president. I think they'll see that Donald Trump was able to build a disastrous economy into probably the greatest economy we've had so far in this country.
Oh, but no, Obama and Biden say that he inherited that.
But
How many
Hey,
presidents
ask your mommy and daddy how the economy was back then, how everybody was struggling.
how many presidents have met with the leaders of North Korea?
None.
Actually walked into North Korea to meet with their leader to try to create peace. How many peace deals have you seen a president do in the Middle East, bringing all these nations together in peace? Not many. Have we ever had a stronger military than under President Trump? Because he believes in a strong military. Guess what? Our country needs it. I think they're going to look back, and like Ronnie said, he is the new Ronald Reagan of this era. And I don't think snowflake liberals like him much because he tells you the truth. He don't lie and tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what he's going to do, and he does it. And that's not what the Democrats and Joe Biden stand for. They'll tell you what you want to hear, and they'll sit in the office for how many years they're in it and absolutely do nothing for this country. But I think they're going to look back and really see some crazy things. And Lord
got
help look back on the year of 2020 and how fun it was.
I got a
Have I-
bold statement to make real fast, Nate.
I
If
do
we
too,
keep
after you're
going, if we keep going at the same rate we are, and I don't think that liberals are going to stay as progressive as they are forever, because times change and they're going the way the Democrats are. They go with what the flow is right now. In 10 years, their party could be completely different. They could be on a different platform. But if it keeps going the way it's going right now, I think you're going to see a cold war in the United States of America between Democrats and Republicans. They will not work with each other whatsoever.
We're already there right now.
Yeah, it's
We're
getting
already
that
there.
way right
No,
now.
I mean a complete freeze where no one's going to talk to anybody across the aisle and everybody's just going to do their own thing. I mean, there's some right now that talk across the aisle. I think that's what it's getting to.
All right.
Hold on 1 second, and I'll give it over to you. What will this country look like in 2100? Will it be all 50 states together, or will it be
completely
No.
wiped out?
I hope to God by then it will be.
I'm not going to answer that, D-Train. That's good something to think about, though. Anyway, have I answered that about what I think Trump will be viewed? Have I answered that yet? I think
No,
I had.
Pretty much.
Well, I think I'm gonna make a bold statement here, like Chris said. I think Donald J. Trump is going to go down as the best president of the 20th and 21st centuries. And I say that to say this.
Neil,
Donald Trump in 4 years has got more done than Ronald Reagan did in 8 years. And I love Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump, when he campaigned on something, whenever he got in office, he done it. He said he was going to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and he done it. He said he was going to bring peace in the Middle East. He said it, and he has done it. He has done. Now, the Middle East is not completely at peace now. I'm talking about as far as our interactions in the Middle East. He has brought peace among our allies in the Middle East. Now, yeah, I can go about the economy. I can go about the judges. I can go about all these different things.
What
In
about
4 years, there will not be another president that has done more than he did in 4 years.
what about
Tax reform. What was that?
infrastructure?
Infrastructure.
He promised. No, well, the thing is, though, he promised a lot on infrastructure, and I really didn't see a lot of it.
Well,
But he's had a hard time too. You know.
yeah. I mean, as far as I think that Donald Trump wanted to do infrastructure. I mean, he said that multiple times, has he not? He has said he wants to do infrastructure, wants to do it. He could never get Nancy Pelosi to come over and speak on that issue and ever get her to come to the table.
And that shows you Trump's potential, because look how much Trump has done in 4 years with nobody giving him slack. Look how much he has done.
I mean, boys, he has got a lot done, and the Democrats have hated him since he walked down the escalator.
Boys, look, he's been in office for 4 years. He had a Mueller report he had to deal with for 2 years, and then an impeachment for 2 years. And he is still
also-
able to get all this stuff done.
And when the House flipped in 2018 to Democrat, it was going to be an uphill battle for him to get much of anything done.
Yep, and he knew that. But I think he wanted to do the infrastructure bill. I really do. And that Madison brought that. That was good that Madison brought that to our mind, because that's one thing he said he was going to do that he did not get done. So
Get a chance to get around to it. Does anybody else got anything to say on that right there? If not, I'm going to touch on something that's also really surprising to me is some important Senate news, actually. Republicans flipped a seat in California to an incumbent. They beat an incumbent Democrat and flipped that.
Who was
in the
it?
House,
No, it was a Senate seat.
was it?
Who was it?
Hold on, I had it pulled up earlier. It might have been, but I'm pretty sure it was a.
I cannot believe Maxine Waters won again.
She won against the guy.
Yeah, he was a good candidate. You see that ad that he had, Madison,
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube? That was awesome. Y'all found it yet?
I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah, it was a House seat. My bad. It was a Democrat. I don't know how to say her last name. Rauda. I don't know, but they flipped that in the House. And honestly, I think it's because a lot of people out in California are getting pretty sick and tired of what their governor and what their state politicians are doing to them out there. You got people big time people have left California. Joe Rogan left California and moved to Texas. He's there now. Ben Shapiro's left California, Los Angeles, and he's going to Nashville.
You're
You're muted, Nate.
In California, just think about this now. Think about us right here. We're living under this pandemic thing, and you know we have a lot of disagreements with the governor and stuff over all the shutdowns. But what would you all do if our governor come to us and told us you can no longer have plastic straws? I know that's very stupid and very just off the rails, but think about that. The government.
There's another thing too, Nate, and I'll let you get back to it. This right here, wintergreen tobacco. They passed a law in California that they're not going to let you have no flavored tobacco.
That's the baby steps to communism. That is the biggest baby steps to communism I've ever heard in my life. That's just completely ridiculous.
I mean, what's their basis for that? Yeah, Gavin Newsom.
More flavors appeal to younger
that's what
kids.
it is.
I'm going to say this real fast. Speaking of the House right now, to have a majority, you need 218. Democrats have 218, and the Republicans are going to have 206, and that's going to be where the House is moving forward for the next 2 years. Republicans will take it in 2 years.
Yeah, they'll take that in 2022. You mentioned earlier, D-Train, that Pelosi was struggling with votes. Has there anything come out with that yet?
Not
Are
currently. They are saying that she doesn't look like she's going to have enough votes to become the speaker again.
That's what Kevin McCarthy came out and said. Of course, he's the
Can you
opposite
say
side.
thank you, Lord?
But, you know, guys, I don't care about who they put in. If they put anybody other than her, I mean, she despises the president with all of her being, all of her soul, all of her mind, all of her strength. And if they put anybody in there that even halfway wants to work with Republicans, that'll be a good thing for America. But that's saying that Donald Trump even gets reelected. So,
And I don't know how any Democrat could support her, or anybody with a brain could support her after watching her very disrespectfully tear up the State of the Union address. That was ridiculous.
Well,
Ronnie,
here's one thing.
that's
She's
old
a
news,
walking
son.
corpse. She is a walking corpse. She is 80 years old right now. How in the world is she still? This is something I hate that I agree with daggone Amy McGrath on something. But I am for congressional term limits instead of term limits.
Amen. Me too.
I
I think
am too.
everybody in here
Because
is.
that will help. That will help drain the swamp. Nancy Pelosi, my gosh, she's 80. She's older than Joe Biden. Every time you see her, she looks like she's about to head over. I don't know what they're pumping her full of to get her to get on there and speak, but she is no joke looking like a mummy more and more every day.
And Donald Trump, to mention Madison's libertarian. I don't know if anybody's listening to us or watching us knows anything about libertarians, but they are very strongly for term limits. And Donald Trump actually had a lot of libertarian views. He had a lot of things that wasn't libertarian, but he had a lot of things like his criminal justice reform and stuff that was libertarian in that front. But he is very much for term limits, and I am very much for term limits also. So
You're a libertarian.
All right, well,
I flirted with the libertarian movement.
all right. So here's one thing too I seen today when I was writing down my notes for this podcast here. That I don't know how to say her first name, but she's a member of the squad. Omar. I'm just going to call her Omar. Her campaign paid her husband's firm nearly $2.8 million. Tell me how this is not such a bigger deal right now.
Ilhan Omar.
You'll never hear about it, Bub. It's already done over with. It'll never be mentioned.
No, I mean, that was just today. They just came out with that today, like 7 hours ago. I was on there looking at it just a second ago.
What site
I don't
was you
understand
on?
how it's all over the place. You got it on Fox News. You got it everywhere. This ain't old news. This is stuff today.
Fake news.
And they want to hide it because it's it will bring out bad publicity on the squad. Hashtag the mini swamp.
Boys,
So if you just look up her name, it's Fox News has it. There's some stuff on here about how she wants to defund Israel. I don't know what that's about.
Because she's Muslim.
I mean, that's everywhere.
She hates Jews.
Yes, she really does. She is blatantly against Jews, and they still elected her for some reason. And also, she criticized somebody for. She said, Omar calls out Manchin for saying he won't support court packing. She is openly for packing the courts. And why do people elect? Why do they continue to vote for people like this?
Well, even better that
Nancy Pelosi would not condemn socialism today. The Democrats in the House, before they vote for a speaker, wanted her to condemn socialism, and she would not.
No, yeah, she said that wasn't the issue with the party. She said that they were doing well with this new socialism platform.
And she's smoking crack too.
She was addicted to cocaine.
Was she really?
But anyway, I don't know. Everybody just said that. I just like.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
But,
But here's what I want to say this real quick, Chris. So you said how in God's name can like AOC get elected, and how can Omar? How is Donald Trump getting? How is Donald Trump? How does Joe Biden get a magical 128,000 vote drop overnight?
no, I have something.
That was Andy
for
Young
AOC.
voting for him.
AFC. As I don't know if I should say this. Actually, it might hurt her career. I'm just gonna say dirty knees. Dirty knees. I've seen that on Twitter everywhere. A lot of people think she sucks up to everybody, and she's just trying to get higher up. I hope she does quit politics. Lord mercy, go back to bartending because you suck.
No comment.
Yeah, actually, I don't care to say that. I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican. I like Donald Trump, so I'm going to say it how it is. She's definitely doing something behind the scenes. But
Well,
does anybody got anything else they want to say, Ronnie?
Yeah, just real quick. The growing liberal movement, in my mind, is mainly because they are wanting to be rebellious from society. If you look at it, normal society for many years said, and I know it sounds crazy, but I've got a few points I want to try to make, and y'all might not buy into it, but that's fine. I'm a little bit out there. We can all agree, but
Just a tad.
you look at society through the years, and a perfect example of this, and I'm not wanting to start any wars, Facebook wars or whatever goes on now, which has happened to me before, sadly. Gay marriage used to be unheard of, untalked about, because marriage is a union between a man and woman, And all of a sudden, in the 2000s and the 90s, you had all kinds of people coming out and saying many more than way back when, saying, "Oh, I'm gay now. I'm gay. I identify as a doorknob. Respect my rights. Blah 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 blah." And it's like, and
21.
yeah, and society is against, for the most part, abortion. And you look at all the Democrats, they say women's rights, women's rights. If she don't want to have that baby just because they had a mistake and had premarital sex, we should kill it. And this, that, and the other. I honestly think, to some extent, the extreme liberal movement is just to be rebellious in America, and it's sickening to me.
I mean, honestly, they're just trying to do stuff to. I don't know if it's them being rebellious. I think they're just like kind of. I think they're power hungry in any way that they can appeal to people to try to get votes by offering free stuff, and it keeps.
I agree with that. I agree with that very much.
I don't know if it's being rebellious or not, but I think they're just power hungry and they want to have control over everybody.
Free stuff is what destroys the middle class in this country, and that's why
we'll end up having to pay for it tax wise.
Yeah.
Yep.
The middle class.
I want to say this about what Ronnie just now said about the talking about the marriage and stuff like that. So, you do go down a rabbit hole when you talk about marriage, because I try not to use my religion to justify any of my beliefs, because I don't have to use my religion to justify my beliefs, because it's just human nature myself. Madison made a point earlier that I thought was real good. And I think he'll amen this till the cows come home. And gay marriage the same way. Anytime you have the government putting its hands on anything, it always makes a mess out of stuff. When you have to go, okay, so I've heard these people. Yeah, now listen, biblically, Lord, we don't really have a Bible study here, but anyway, I'll say this. Do you think that sheet of paper makes you any more married than anything else in the world? That sheet of paper you get from the government don't make you married. I don't care what anybody says. However, I will say this. Look at anything the government gets involved in, it messes up. The government tells us we can't go down the road without putting our seatbelt on. What the crap? I thought we were free. I know it's small things and that's for safety. I understand that. But we live in a free country. The more the government has their hands on, the more they mess up. I could just go on and on about that.
Another example,
when the government tries to
have car insurance.
Yeah, and when the government tries to tell you that this affirmative action thing that come out is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So now affirmative action put us all in these corners that you're not Hispanic, you're Hispanic, it does all this stuff just to separate us. And really that should not matter. When the government tries to get in there and try to make us check boxes, whether we identify as a male or female, or whether we identify as non-binary and all that stuff, it clouds the whole system. Everybody, it's confusing because the government has no authority or power to try to begin to tell us what we can, should, or should not do. Ronnie, on your question you just now put on there, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think you should.
What's this question?
I don't know if I should or not.
What's this question?
We can't say. You'd have to go look at it, Chris.
Oh, Lord have mercy, Ronnie. You'd get canceled faster than anybody I've ever seen right there. But I don't really have any more topics to cover. I think we had a good.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe Biden said that. I've heard video.
Yeah, he has.
Indeed.
But they don't cancel. They don't cancel Democrats.
Yeah, Democrats are for all nationalities.
Well, see, this is actually I want to touch.
Well, boys, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't really black.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and black
there's
kids.
a lot of black. There's a lot of black people. It's not black now.
What did he say? Black kids are just as bright and nice as white kids are just as bright as. Yeah, killed me. Poor kids.
Black kids. He mentioned something about how he said one time Barack Obama was like the first intelligent black man in power ever. I was like, okay.
You
But
know, you know Corn Pop, don't you? Corn Pop was a bad dude.
The word intelligence thrown around freely nowadays too.
I believe everybody's entitled to blah, 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 blah.
okay.
You know, the kids, they used to like up and come and rub my legs because I have hairy legs.
And my blonde hairs and rub the hair down and.
He said a lot of dumb things.
Go on,
but
Chris. Go on, Lord have
I
mercy.
want to touch something on what Nate said about how the government puts their hands in things and all these boxes and stuff you got to check off. If anybody in this country is pushing division, it's the Democratic Party because they're wanting to separate everybody. You're getting all this stuff. They want you to come out and be. I mean, we're all supposed to come together. We're all Americans. Let's be honest. The majority of people in this country are born here. We should all be together regardless of our skin color. Where your family's from. I mean, if you're born here, you're an American. We should not worry. I think it's stupid when you have to fill out an application. Oh, white, Hispanic, black, Asian, Latinos. I hate that stuff. It's stupid. And I just think they're pushing division more than they're trying to bring us all together. And but that's all I wanted to say about that. Has anybody got anything to say?
Unless it absolutely is a gender role, why is it that they ask what your gender is if it don't matter? Why do they ask on a job application, are you man, woman, or non-binary, or when you sign up? I mean, any little thing, why do they do that? When you give them your social security number on things like that, they're automatically going to know everything about you. Why do you have to put that there?
So they know who to look for, they say.
Well, craziness.
I will give everybody, Nate's wanting to have his closing statements here. Let's try to make this fast. We're approaching about an hour and 40 minutes going on here. It's going to be a long upload process.
Go ahead, Derek.
Anyone?
All right, so closing statements. We had a pretty good podcast. It was fun. I like talking about local, state, and federal governments. I believe it fits our name well. I hope Nancy Pelosi will not become the speaker. I pray that happens. I pray that the Senate remains controlled. We'll see January 5th when Georgia's elections happen. And I believe Donald Trump will be our president.
Oh, that's a big prediction from a man that was almost ready to say President-elect Biden a few days ago. But anyway, guys, we are in a very, very, very scary time, uncertain time in our country. We have a pandemic raging. You can have your thoughts on the pandemic. The pandemic is real. It's real. You can have your thoughts on how deadly or whatever the virus is, and that's okay. But it is real. We're living through that. All the while, we're living through a presidential election that has several different paths to still end. It could still end with both of them getting 269 votes. And, we've never had to see this before or done this. This country is in turmoil, but I believe in the American dream. And as Rand Paul's slogan that we're running for president 4 years ago, I believe that we need to unleash the American dream. And I believe we can do that if we all just come together and fight for what we believe in. We can't back down. You can't just settle down and say this is the way. But that's all I want to say, guys. It's been fun. I enjoyed having Madison on here. Me and him will get into more of the local stuff here in the next few podcasts. I'm sure it's going to be fun. So on to Ronnie.
Well, I agree with Nate. I have an undying faith in America. It kills me when people throw out the speculation that America will stop being a superpower and be overrun by China, Russia, all these other crazy things, because I simply believe that this is the greatest nation on earth and that we are the strongest nation on earth, and I think that we have proved that time and time again. And I think that our democracy and our republic and our government and everything is protected by nothing's perfect by any means, but I think it is protected by the very close to perfect Constitution we have, which protects certain power-hungry positions and things like that with elections and all that. And I really do strongly believe, as hard as it is for people to think nowadays, that one day we will see a day where Republicans and Democrats can once again agree. We won't all be so far right and far left leaning. We will still have Republicans and Democrats, but we will once again be able to reach across the aisle and shake our fellow Americans' hand and say, let's get this done for the country, not just for political views. And I think that it will take a lot of standing up, mostly by Republicans and moderate Democrats, to say no to the liberal movement and the socialist movement and this, that, the other. But I have faith that it will get done, and I have faith that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, America will still be as strong as it was today and as it was back in the 80s and all that. I just have an ever-loving, undying faith in the United States of America.
Yeah, I think it just boils down to this: Lord's will is what's going to come. What it's going to come down to. I think honestly, I think the country will be okay. I think Donald Trump will be reelected, and another 4 years of Donald Trump is another 4 years of prosperity in America.
All right. I would just like to say that I think it's been a really productive podcast. I was hoping we'd get, I love doing it to Ronnie, getting him tore up and defensive. It makes for a fun podcast, I think, because he gets all defensive and gets tore all to pieces. But I like the subjects we touched on. I do like speaking about some local and state stuff. We ain't really got into that much, but having Madison here will help. I think we are a nation that's forgot about what we're all about. I think I hate to say this, but there's nothing that unifies this country more than another country coming after us. We are a sleeping giant waiting to be woke up, and when that happens, America will finally be back to what we were before. And that's and I hope and pray to God that say Donald Trump don't get it. I hope and pray to God that Joe Biden don't just become a puppet. I hope he actually tries to do some stuff that benefits the American people. I don't see it happening because I honestly think Joe Biden is probably about 80% not there. I think 20% there, and he just wakes up every now and then. It's like, oh, where am I at? And then he just goes back under. And I'm hoping that Donald Trump be back, and that's all I got to say, really. Like everybody, appreciate everybody listening. If you made it this far, our next episode, I would like for Hope Madison to come back and join us more. You plan on joining us more often, Madison? I'd like for you to be on every time.
Yeah, whenever I can, fellas, whenever I can.
I'd hope so. But this next, I'm hoping you'll be on this next one. I think we're going to cover, we might dip out of like news politics right now and kind of jump into some conspiracy theories. I think it'll be a fun one. But I'd also like to thank real fast a shout out to our first sponsor. I know it's the website this podcast goes up to first is Anchor. They've made this process a whole lot easier. I was jumping through hoop after hoop trying to figure out how to get stuff set up, and they automatically distribute everything. So if anybody out there is listening to this, considering starting a podcast, I suggest Anchor 100%. And we appreciate everybody listening. We hope you come back for the next episode, and that's all we got for you. D-Train, you want to give us the close out there?
Yeah.
There we go. Y'all have a good